RV manufacturers know that most RVs, the vast majority of them, are sold based on the floor plan, based on the looks, and based on some of the features that they put into them that you might not actually really need.
And in this video, we are going to give you 5 things you do not need to worry about when purchasing your next RV.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby.
And this is RV Miles, and today we're talking about purchasing RVs. You know, there are lots of decisions to be made when you're going through the process of purchasing an RV, which could be the second biggest purchase you ever make next to a home.
And so today we are going to give you 5 things that you do not need to think about when purchasing an RV.
And the first one is being too long to fit into national and state parks. Now, this is a question that gets asked of dealers. Dealers will all tell you that they hear this all the time, and it gets asked in all the Facebook groups we see and all that sort of stuff. And it's an important concern, but it's a problem that's been overblown in our opinions.
Yeah, look, you can be 12 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 38 feet, which is what we are, or 42 feet, and you are going to fit in a majority of national park sites and state park campgrounds. We have been on the road for 5 years. First in a converted school bus that was 38 feet long, now in a travel trailer that is also 38 feet long. And we have only encountered 1, maybe 2 parks in the federal or state system that we have not been able to fit into.
There are certainly lots of campgrounds out there and lots of campsites, individual campsites that aren't long enough for longer RVs. But if you're trying to decide on your RV based on, should I get a 25 foot so I can fit into all these sites, or a 35 foot and I might not be able to, well, there are so many differences between those two RVs that national park campground is very, very low on your list of concerns.
Absolutely.
In addition, state parks, in our opinion, are some of the biggest campgrounds out there for the most part. There are some, again, that are small, but state park campsites are often huge. And then again, the difference between getting a 38-foot RV and a 36-foot RV isn't going to make much difference to you either. So
that's potatoes.
So either way, it really is not going to be something that should be at the top of your priority list.
Item number 2 on the list, guests you will never have. We all have seen it. We've all heard it. You walk into a rig and you think, how many does this sleep? And they're going to tell you, this sleeps 20. Well, some of us are buying our RVs because, yes, we want to invite our grandchildren or our friends along with us, and we have a very, very specific want. Those aren't the people I'm talking to right now. You all know what you need. It's those of us like us who walk in there and think, oh, well, maybe mom and dad will want to come stay with us, or my brother and sister-in-law will want to come and sleep with us. Do not base your purchase on the maybe my brother is going to come and stay, or maybe my kids are going to bring some friends.
Those pull-out couches can take up a lot of space that could be storage.
You are going to start resenting Grandma and Grandpa when you give up storage space so Grandma and Grandpa can sleep at your house. And also, you know what? Grandma and Grandpa, they'll probably be more comfortable in a cabin. They don't want to be in that tiny space with you for the whole week.
And it's another thing that goes back to length, right? If you're going to be hauling around a longer RV with you just because you may have a guest once or twice a year, you know, think about the alternatives to that.
Folks, we have had this RV for 2 years now. The dinette sleeps people, the couch sleeps people. Guess how many people have slept on those 2 things? 0. 0 people.
At least 0 people that aren't in this family.
Yeah, at least 0 people that weren't trying to escape from, I don't know, snoring.
The next item is less than meaningful numbers on manufacturer websites. There's all kinds of information when you're starting to look through different RVs on these manufacturers' websites, and some of them just aren't that useful, including the manufacturer suggested retail price, the MSRP. It's kind of a made-up number.
When you get to the dealer, it looks better when the dealer can say, oh, well, this was $80,000. This is what they want us to sell it for. But we are cutting you that deal, and we are going to sell it to you for $55,000. Because then your brain goes, that's a $25,000 savings.
Now, right now, people are paying a little bit closer to MSRP because there's such a lack of RV inventory right now.
You will see an MSRP number on the website, but don't let it scare you.
Exactly.
More often than not, you are going to pay thousands of dollars less. And honestly, if someone is trying to sell that to you for the MSRP or more, you don't want to work with that
Move on.
dealership. Yeah, gotta go.
Other numbers include the unloaded vehicle weight, which is meaningless because you're going to carry stuff with you.
Oh, yes. It's nice to know, I guess, how much
How much
the
it weighs
home
with nothing in it.
weighs. But I have yet to meet anyone who has gone camping and brought absolutely nothing with them. The number that matters is the number that's going to tell you how much you can load this thing up with.
Yeah, you want to know your cargo carrying capacity, and the unloaded vehicle weight combined with the cargo carrying capacity gets you the gross vehicle weight rating. And that's going to tell you really, especially if you're pulling a trailer, what your truck is going to be hauling.
And anyone who's been around RV Miles long enough knows that Abby cares a lot about that number.
One other number is interior length. That is not going to tell you how long of a campsite that you can get into. It really isn't giving you a whole lot of information about the inside of the RV, and a lot of the footage lengths on manufacturers' websites are the interior length and sometimes the model numbers as well. So you do want to make sure that you know the actual full length of the RV, not just the interior.
Our fourth thing you do not need to be concerned with when purchasing an RV is kind of a hodgepodge or a potpourri of items. And we have titled that things that are not necessarily as important as they seem.
Things like sink and stove covers.
Oftentimes those covers are sold as additional prep space, or they give the appearance of having a lot of countertop space. But one thing you need to think about is when you pull those off, when you lift up that stove, you're losing all that prep space. So it's really important to not put a whole lot of stock in those, because are you never going to use your sink or your stove when you're cooking?
Electric fireplaces. They can be nice, they can be warm, they can be pretty to be around, but they really are just a space heater.
Yes, the trade-off with the electric fireplace is oftentimes you're losing storage space. So again, that is really a personal preference. If you want the beautiful look of the fireplace in your living room area, absolutely, more power to you. But just realize that you are going to lose a little bit of storage.
They're fine. They're great. There's nothing wrong with them. There's a nice part about them is they are on their own individual circuit with inside the RV, but there are alternatives. I wouldn't base my RV purchasing decision based on the fact that this electric fireplace is going to be the thing that keeps me warm in the winter.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this video, is these are just suggestions of things to not base your purchase on. This is in no way to say that those things should not be on your list of wants, but wants versus needs are very different.
High-end sounding furniture names and all the gizmos and gadgets they put on the furniture, like vibrating seats and lighted cup holders. I don't know why my cup holder needs to light out.
Well, sometimes it's really dark and you just
Don't know where to put the drink. Why would it?
You
it's
just
never gonna
don't
be
know
that
where to
dark.
put your craft beer. If it doesn't light up, how will you know?
A lot of them have USB ports in them as well. And one of the problems with that is that generally those USB ports that are in furniture don't run off your DC battery
No.
system. They are actually plugged into an outlet behind the couch.
They also don't do anything. I mean,
They're the slow charging cheap ones very often.
we have some in our couch, and there have been nights where the kids have left their Kindle plugged into it, thinking in the next morning they're going to wake up to 100%. And the look on sad children's faces the next morning, especially on a travel day, when they pick up that Kindle and it reads like a solid 30%. And I just say, don't trust the couch. The couch is not here to charge your device.
The other real big one is Wi-Fi prep. Lots of rigs are coming with Wi-Fi prep now because people want to have Wi-Fi in their RVs, but you realize it doesn't have to attach to your RV. And that's something that...
Well, it's Wi-Fi.
right.
Right.
And most of those systems that come with the RV are going to lock you into working with whatever carriers and whatever plans, whatever manufacturer they've put on the system. So it's much better to have some other options, which leads us into our next tip.
Things that can easily be added.
Such as your Wi-Fi system. That's something that you can easily add. Again, it doesn't need to be attached to your RV in any way. Yeah, you can get an antenna to put on the roof. That's really not that hard to install. Lots of other things like exterior speakers. The speakers they put on the outsides of these things probably cost them $10 grand total. They look at that and they say, oh, that sounds great. I can listen to music outside. You can add your own speakers. You can bring a boombox, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wait.
Yes, I said boombox. I know it's the 90s.
You just set it on your shoulder there, like sit back.
We saw
hit
one
play.
RV manufacturer recently that is offering a portable Bluetooth speaker with their RV because that's their way of getting around installing outdoor speakers.
I only wanted if it's shaped like a boombox. Where are all my Walkman people at?
Smart TVs is another one. A lot of people look at the TVs that are put into the RVs, and our experience with smart TVs over the years has generally been that
Not so smart.
the manufacturers of the TVs don't keep up with the updates. So like 5 years down the road, you're using an obsolete system. And we think it's a lot better to either be buying your own TV, like a Roku TV, because Roku is actually updating their software. And you're seeing Roku software being put into a lot more TVs pre-sold. But you can also add the Roku stick or the Amazon Fire Stick or the Google
Stick,
thing,
or
whatever
the
they
Apple
call that.
Stick.
You pick any of them and use that, and that's going to be way better 5 years down the road than whatever Vizio has put in their TV.
So that is our list. Those are the 5 things we think you don't need to worry about when you go to purchase your RV. But we want to know what you think. Is there something that should be added? Are you really angry at us for something that we put on this list? Let us know down in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to RV Miles yet, we hope you'll take a second and just hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell and never miss another episode.
Very soon we're going to put out a video that tells you the things that we do think you ought to worry about. But until then, think about these things.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.